It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Blake Williams, here to have a very different show than we were anticipating having, Blake, 20 minutes ago. Tell me if you've heard this before. Ohtani pitches great. Dodgers take an early lead. Bullpen collapses.
I think you can substitute Ohtani for any of their starters, and that's kind of the same story for the last month or so here. The bullpen has been very bad. There's no sugarcoating it. It's hard to make any excuses for them or anything positive to say about them. Right now, it's very bad. And for some reason, Dave Roberts keeps going back to the same guys who keep blowing it, and this is the results of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm curious. Well, let me ask it to you this way. 7th inning, the Dodgers have a 4-0 lead after Rortvedt adds a home run. Give me an honest confidence level you had that the Dodgers bullpen could go out and get you 9 outs after an off day, and get you 9 outs with a 4-run lead.
75%, which I think is probably higher than it should have been in hindsight. But yeah, I mean, you keep going back to the same guys and doing the same things that aren't working, and you're going to get these kind of results.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate everybody hopping in with us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We've got a number of super chats populating already. We will get to that. A lot to talk about. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani goes 6 innings. That was supposed to be the positive headline here for this one. He was fantastic. In this one, Teoscar Hernandez, a guy who has struggled for much of the season, has a big offensive night. Rortvedt gets his first home run as a Dodger. The Dodgers seemed to be on their way to dropping the magic number from 3 to 2 as the Padres continue to somehow manufacture wins against the Brewers tonight. And yet everything goes sideways. And it starts with some of the guys that I think we were right to have some level of trust in. Jack Dreyer has been very good for the Dodgers. Edgardo Enriquez has been very good for the Dodgers. Those two combined to give up 3 runs in the 7th. Alex Vesia gets himself into trouble in the 8th and got very lucky by a very bad base running decision by the Diamondbacks to get an extra out in the 8th inning. And then Tanner Scott comes in the 9th. And the second you hit the first batter of an inning, you could have turned the TV off right there. And then a 4-pitch walk after that. I mean, any Dodger fan that believed after a hit by pitch and a 4-pitch walk to start the 9th that we were going to be having a different postgame show, I wish even I had your optimism. But this is the key with the Dodgers bullpen, Blake, and what I think is interesting. Dreyer and Enriquez are younger guys that seem to be dudes that people have some degree in trust in. And yet, Jack Harris made a great point. These young guys with good numbers have not been able to come into big spots and get results.
Yeah, so with the Jack Dreyer situation there, I thought he should have stayed in the game. He gave up the single and the double, but once he started mixing around and you got the matchup with Jordan Lawler, like, that's a matchup you take. He's not a good hitter. And then you gave them the opportunity to pinch hit with a better guy when you brought in Edgardo Enriquez. So that was poor managing on Dave there. Should have just left him Dreyer. Edgardo Henriquez, like, his ERA has been good, but nothing else has really been good. He hasn't been getting strikeouts all season, and that's a huge concern for a reliever. I think we all kind of expected the ERA wouldn't stay low with the underlying metrics he's had. Like, yes, he's throwing hard, but he's just not getting swing and miss, and a lot of his success was fueled by luck early on, and that was a concern I brought up. So Edgardo's not a guy I trust, and I don't think the Dodgers should be trusting him. Vesia, he wasn't good, but he got out of it, so he's probably the best reliever in the Dodger bullpen right now. So I don't put too much blame on Dave there. Like, Vesia did his job, but then going back to Tanner Scott, I don't know how many times he needs to see it until he realizes this isn't going to work out this year. Sometimes that just happens with relievers, and it's best to move on at this moment.
Yeah. So you would have stuck with Dreyer is what you're saying rather than going to Enriquez.
Yes, just because of the matchups. Once the Diamondbacks were pinch hitting and you got Jordan Lawler in that spot there, he's not a good hitter. He's ranked as a top prospect, but he's always been a glove first guy. So, yeah, I would not have let the Diamondbacks go to the pinch hitter they probably wanted in that situation, and it worked out for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it's tough because looking at Dreyer, he gets a line out, then he gives up a single 100 miles an hour off the bat, gets a strikeout, and then gives up the double that's 105 miles an hour off the bat, 416 feet straight away. Look, Dreyer's been very good, so I think you have a case to say maybe you just trust your guy. But again, even Dreyer, who's been very good this entire season, he doesn't necessarily inspire confidence in the big spots. A lot of these numbers have been put up in the seventh inning of games in June and July. And I'm not saying I don't trust him now. Like, I think he's at the top of the trust tree or near with Vesia, but it's tough because you just haven't seen him do it yet.
It's very fair, and I think the hard hit balls were probably why Dave got him out of the game so quickly, because he wasn't having much success there. For me, it's just about the matchups. Like, I'd rather see him in versus a bad hitter than Edgardo in versus a better hitter, kind of in that situation. It felt like kind of pick your poison. I feel like this entire bullpen is just pick your poison. Whoever you want to blow the game that day is the guy you're going to bring in, and there's no real actual option on what you could do better. Like, we can sit here talking about what they should have done for 20 minutes, and if they did that exact thing, we're probably talking about the same results at the end right now. It's just how this bullpen's going. But for me personally, I'm just I'd rather take my chances with the guy I trust more in Jack Dreyer over Edgardo Henriquez against the worst hitter instead of the better hitter.
Let's talk Tanner Scott briefly. I think for the last few weeks on this show and anybody that's talking Dodgers has had to reckon with two things. Yes, Tanner Scott has been brutally, terribly bad, and yet nobody actually believed they would leave him off the postseason roster. Does a night like tonight change that in your mind at all?
I don't think so. I'm still like 95% confident he's there, and that's probably down from 100% like yesterday, but I don't know. If they're serious about winning right now, I just don't see how you can say, yes, this is one of our 13 best relievers right now, or 12 best, or whatever you want to say. Like, I have no defense for Tanner Scott right now being on the playoff roster besides for his contract, and they shouldn't be basing their roster moves off contracts.
Yeah, I look, whether they can get to 13 guys they like better than him, I think is the better question right now. Because on a night that he blows it, Edgardo Henriquez does not look very good as well. And so it's like, to your point, it's a pick your poison. And unfortunately for the Dodgers, it's a lot of poison to go around. Somebody says I smile when talking about Tanner Scott. I don't look. I'm smiling so I don't cry, okay? I'm just trying to keep the smile on.
Kyle Hurt probably deserves a chance, and he hasn't been talked about a whole lot. And Ben Kasparius is back in the minors. I'd probably rather see him on the roster than Tanner Scott right now.
Yeah.
I think Will Klein looked really good the other night, but still only one inning, so we need to see a little more of it. But I mean, this is a time where you should be trying things instead of going back to the same guy over and over when you already know it's going to fail. So yeah, just kind of poor management from the front office and Dave Roberts all around, I think, in this situation.
Yeah, our guy Bruce on Thursdays had a bold prediction at the second half. Bold prediction was that Kyle Hurt was going to be a guy to watch in the second half of this season and on the postseason roster. So that's inching closer. Kasparius is a guy that I've liked, and I thought the numbers were pretty good. And the way this is going, I would trust Kasparius a lot more than I would trust Tanner Scott, especially in a bullpen where there's some other lefties. So we'll see how they handle all this. Again, shout out to almost 3,500 people in here hopping in with us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We got a bunch of super chats to get to, so let's start diving into those. 300 GJW from the get-go. Inexcusable hit by pitch and a walk to start the ninth. This team is hoping Roki Sasaki is the answer. Give me a break. Assuming we even have a home game, we will be on vacation end of next weekend. Blake, Dodgers magic number is 3, 5 games to go. Confidence level that the Dodgers are the National League West champs at this point?
Like 67% still, I think, because they have the tiebreaker, so technically they only need 2, which is 1 Dodger win and 1 Padre loss. So, like, still fairly confident, but yeah, the number's dropping a little more each day.
Oh, the magic number doesn't take into account the tiebreaker?
No.
Okay. So it's just 2 to tie, but the Dodgers would have the tiebreak. I would have assumed that was calculated in. So
no, I don't know why they don't do it, but it's like straight up the clinch.
Okay, there you go. But I'm with you. 300. The hit by pitch, a two strike pitch where you hit the guy he couldn't locate the slider. And I know there's been some dialogue around Tanner Scott and he's spamming the slider. And is that effective? I questioned on here whether or not that was sustainable. I'm not saying one outing after 4 shutout is the definitive answer, but he clearly could not throw that pitch for a strike tonight. And he gets a hit by pitch. He gets the walk. In some ways, they get bailed out because the guy's trying to bunt when he can't throw a strike. He makes an unbelievable bunt. And then a guy that I think I outweigh by 27 pounds gets an 0-2 pitch that he puts to the warning track. So to say not Tanner Scott's finest night is to say the least. 10th blown save after just 2 last year. Aaron says, hate to say it, we aren't going anywhere with this bullpen. We asked them to get 9 outs with the 4-run lead, and they can't do it. Freaking terrible. Yeah, look, Aaron, I think there's a lot of Dodger fans that are asking the same questions you are. And at this point, it's just a matter of like, can they rearrange the decks on the Titanic out there? Are there enough other arms? Are there enough Kyle Hertz and Ben Kasperius and Emmett Sheehan's and heck, maybe Clayton Kershaw's out there that they can move around and replace some of these guys that they keep going back to and they keep not having success? I've said Emmett Sheehan is not just going to be like a guy that happens to be in the bullpen. Like he might be their best reliever. And every day that we watch this bullpen, Blake, we get one step closer, it feels like, to him being their closer in the postseason.
I don't think we're going to get that far to him being the closer because like pitching on back-to-back days with him is probably going to be difficult. But yeah, I think it's fair to say he's probably the best reliever right now. And he hasn't even been a reliever. So that's the state of this bullpen.
Yeah. Bacon Tree, I liked him in that spot. Yeah, keep punting games when the division isn't secure yet to make some guys feel better. Like clockwork, Dave. Stay tuned to our guy, Matthew Moreno. He is in Arizona covering this game, and I am sure we are going to have some fun Dave Roberts quotes post-game. That's one thing to look forward to, I guess. Jonathan, I'm getting really sick of MLB pushing Ohtani highlights after Dodgers losses. This isn't the Angels. Dodgers are about winning as a team. I hear you, Jonathan, but welcome to the Shohei Ohtani experience. This is about more than baseball and wins and losses. This is about marketing, and Shohei Ohtani sells the crap out of things. I like this one. Cantankerous Yoshi says, the worst thing to happen to us is the 3-batter minimum rule. The upside to the 3-batter minimum rule, Blake, is you see less Dodgers relievers in a game like this, though.
I don't know. I think the worst thing that happens to the Dodgers right now is bullpens in general. Like, if we can go back to the 50s where starters went 9 innings and 200 pitches, they might be better off.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like Vesia, they were just like, this is the guy, like, go for it. Tanner Scott, there was not even an attempt to go and warm somebody up in the 8th or the 9th inning for what it's worth. So it wasn't the 3-batter minimum that cost them this one. Phil says Scott can't be in anything but blowouts the rest of the year. Front office and Dave Roberts dropping the ball. This is why I've been calling to move Sheehan there now. Emmett Sheehan expected to pitch on Friday in Seattle, so not expected to be in the bullpen prior to that. But pitching him on Friday would then have him available out of the bullpen. I imagine, Blake, this is because the Dodgers might need to win on Friday. Like, they have not wrapped up the division. So, yes, long-term getting Sheehan to the bullpen is good, but they need 2 wins between now and Sunday.
Yeah, so as other people have pointed out in the chat, the magic number with the tiebreaker is 3. So I was off by 1 there. So, yeah, it is kind of important to win some of these games. And seems like they're lined up for Sheehan Friday, Glassnow Saturday, and Kershaw Sunday, which probably means Kershaw and Glassnow are not going to be on the wild card roster. So yeah, these games are kind of important for them, and it's not really allowing them to line up the pitching staff how they might want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Tyler says Scott is making $2 million in bonuses per blown save in 2025. That's a good deal for Tanner Scott. Bad deal for the Dodgers. Good deal for him. Laura says, serious question. Are fans going to spend hundreds of dollars on postseason tickets to watch the bullpen blow 3, 4, and 5-run leads? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. And it might be thousands in some cases and not hundreds. So Jay Teaser says, bring up Hurt now. Bleep, bring up Bobby too. Can't be any worse. You lost me there.
On that
you
one.
had me up until bring up Kyle Hurt now. Bobby Miller, that might be worse.
Yeah, I think people forget how bad he was the last time. I think his last start was when the Dodgers gave him that 6-run lead against the Marlins, and then he completely imploded and couldn't even eat some innings with that lead. And yeah, it's not good.
Robbie says, not worried about the division because 1, I still think we win it. 2, either way, we're playing the wild card. This is why I care about early season losses. Regarding the magic number, so 5 games left. So basically the Dodgers would have to go 2-3 and the Padres would have to go undefeated. I believe the Padres have an off day, so they only have 4 games left, which is why the Dodgers are 2.5 up. So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong there, but the Dodgers have a 2.5 game lead plus the tiebreaker. So if the Dodgers win 2, the Padres would have to go undefeated, or of course the Dodgers could just go 3-2 over the stretch and take care of business themselves. Also, by the way, like they could just extinguish everybody in the NL West. They single-handedly ended the Giants' miraculous postseason run. It would be nice to do the same to the Diamondbacks, Blake. That's what I'm rooting for here.
Yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks might be the team you want to face in the wild card round, just based on if it's like the Mets or the Reds or the Diamondbacks. But yeah, I mean, it would be funny to end their season too.
Padres burner, how is Sasaki enjoying sushi in Oklahoma? Good news, he was in the bullpen tonight. So Padres burner, I wasn't expecting you to be watching the game, but we'll talk about him. He's going to be activated tomorrow. Ram Lake Gers, why did Dave go to Tanner Scott in the 9th again? And more importantly, why did he not have somebody up behind him? I was fully expecting him to go to Tanner Scott in the 9th. Tanner Scott, whether you buy into this or not, had 4 scoreless appearances in a row into this. The thing that gets to me, Blake, is the nobody warming behind him. Like when you hit the guy and then a 4-pitch walk, that has to be an automatic, this guy is not going to see a 4th batter. That's the part that pissed me off, I think.
Yeah, I expected Tanner Scott to be in there, even if it wasn't the thing I would have wanted. I mean, that's just how Dave is managing. But the thing we've seen with Tanner Scott and Blake Treinen this year is when they're struggling, you can see it immediately. Yeah. Like, it's not something where they get 2 outs and then completely fall apart. It's they come into the game and they are already falling apart. They can't throw strikes. They have no idea where their pitches are going. So as soon as you see him getting into trouble after hitting the first batter, like that's immediately when you say, okay, someone else in the bullpen, go get warm. Like Bonda, go warm up, or whoever, go warm up that you trust there. To not have anyone there, it's just poor managing on Dave. That, like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Ozzy said Tanner looked completely defeated in his post-game interview. Tanner Scott looked completely defeated on the mound. That was the crappy part. Like before he gave up the sac fly and before he gave up the game-winning hit to Perdomo, he looked defeated. He looked like he was looking around like, what planet did I just drop down on and how did I end up here? So clearly it's mental. And I would add, it just feels mental with the bullpen. It feels like even the guys who have been there, done that, have in their head, like, here we go again. That's what I see. Even a guy like Vesia tonight, again, he gets out of it, but it's 2 walks. It's a strikeout. They get the stolen base, caught stealing at second base. It's like the only reason he survives that inning. They just feels like a group that is mentally defeated right now.
Yeah, that's what Dave has said about them. I'm not sure that's entirely it. Like, I think there's a lot more to it. Like, they're just kind of old now at this point. A lot of their veteran guys, the young guys aren't getting it done, and you kind of need that mix, like, to find something there. You can't just have an old bullpen as your high leverage guys. You need some of the young guys to step up, and that hasn't fully happened. It might be partly a talent issue, which I don't even know fully, because Kirby Yates was so good last year, and now he's just been terrible. Tanner Scott was so good last year, and now he's just been terrible. Like, I don't think they really have any idea of what's going on, so that's why mental is probably like the easy thing to say about it. I'm just not sure that's fully it, but it probably is part of it for sure.
Yeah, going ahead and looking at some of the reports, multiple relief pitchers have offered words of encouragement to Tanner Scott, who said it was, quote, my fault the Dodgers lost tonight. So, I mean, that's just the saddest thing I've ever read. Like,
we got to give some credit to Dreyer and Edgardo too, but yeah, we can just say it was the bullpen's fault.
Yeah, and again, like, I know Vesia technically gets out of there with a 0. It's hard to say he deserved the 0 the way that he pitched tonight. The double steal, Moreno had no idea what he was doing. He was caught in between. Great play by Ben. Great tag by Tommy Edman. Otherwise, Alex Vesia is staring down runners at second and third with 1 out, and Tanner Scott might not have even had a save opportunity in this one. Cantankerous adds, we know that Dave will say, I liked the compete. So there we go. 300 adds. I guarantee Scott is as frustrated as we are. Sounds
probably
like
more.
He sounds more defeated than I think anybody. I can't speak for people in the chat. He sounds to be the most defeated. And to your point, like, he has to wear this. He's the one that has to go home and think about what he could have done differently. And so I think you're right, Blake. I think he's the most defeated person among Dodgers fans tonight.
Along with, like, going home and thinking about it and being the guy who has to wear it, like, he's looking at all his teammates. They all know he's been going through struggles. Like, yes, they're all giving him the words of encouragement, but I mean, he knows he hasn't been good, and they all know he hasn't been good. So it's tough on him. Like, it's easy to rip on players and say it's all their fault and talk trash about them and whatever you want to say, but they're also people, and they know that they're pitching bad or playing bad, and they feel bad too. So he's probably more frustrated than everyone in this chat, and I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I see some people asking about kind of where Tanner Scott is. Ram Lakers says, what percentage chance is it that Scott is on the postseason roster? A lot of lefties in the pen. He seems to be the worst far and away. Let me just read you some names, Blake, and you tell me if any of these guys aren't definitively ahead of him. And again, keeping in mind that for the wild card series, which the Dodgers will be playing in, they can bring 10 relief pitchers plus their 3 starters. And if Shohei Ohtani is one of their starters, they could technically bring up to 11 relief pitchers as well. And this
by ahead of him, do you mean like on Dave Roberts' depth chart, or like
yes,
by talent?
Yes. Yeah, like I think guys that you would definitively say like these guys would be ahead of Tanner Scott on a guess of the Dodgers postseason roster. Not your personal view, but how you think the Dodgers would view it.
I mean, I think Tanner Scott is still at the top of their list. That's just how they are and they're operating. So,
you think he's number 1?
I mean, that's what they're showing us right now. Until they show us something different, I can't say otherwise. They keep giving him save opportunities.
Vesia had the highest leverage moment. He got 2, 3, and 4. They were not lefties except for one in Corbin Carroll. It was a switch hitter who hits lefties and righties both. He got Corbin Carroll, the lefty, and then it was righty-righty. So Vesia is, in my opinion, the most trusted reliever they have right now.
Yes, but I think if the highest leverage was still in the 9th inning, it still would have been Tanner Scott there. I think that's just kind of how Dave mapped it out, and that's how it ended up working. I don't think it was a scenario where he was like, yes, Alex Vesia is getting the 8th because he's our highest leverage guy.
So you think 100% Tanner Scott's on the postseason roster?
For the Dodgers, yes. For what I would do, absolutely not. So I just don't want that getting confused with people. Like, from a Dodger perspective, I don't think there's a chance they leave him off the roster. From my perspective, I wouldn't have him on there.
What I would say to Dodgers fans, again, like let's just say they stick with 10 relief pitchers, which is the kind of the minimum I think they would take. You've predicted they're not going to take the maximum. I think they would take the maximum. But this is in no particular order. I think Bonda, Dreyer, Vesia, like those 3 guys, Emmett Sheehan, those 4 I feel like are kind of the locks. Again, we could debate Clayton Kershaw, whether he belongs on that list. I think Trinan's in the same bucket as Tanner Scott. We're going to get to a Blake Stewart update. You've got Kasparius and Kyle Hurt, who are both down in AAA right now. You've got Edgardo Enriquez, who was really bad tonight. You've got Robleski, who we're going to talk about whose spot on the roster does Roki Sasaki take. I'll be curious to who you think that is. Kirby Yates, Roki Sasaki. I mean, like, my point is, as much as I dislike how I feel about Tanner Scott right now, I don't know if I could get to 10 guys that I'm like definitively more confident in than Tanner Scott.
I have my postseason roster worked out. I posted it on Twitter today. So for anyone who saw it, it's there or wants to see it in writing form, but I do have 10 relievers on it. And part of that is due to the Will Smith injury. So I think they're going to drop the extra position player off with Will Smith and carry the extra reliever. But the bullpen for me is Sheehan, Trinan, Stewart, Scott, Vesia, Bonda, Dreyer, Roki, Edgardo, and Robleski. And that means Glassnow and Kershaw are off for the wild card round. And then they'll probably be added for the DS if they make it. And like for me personally, I didn't have Kasparius on it and Kyle Hurt on it just from a Dodger sense, but I would put both of them over Tanner Scott. But I'm predicting what the Dodgers would do.
The one you posted is what you think the Dodgers would do.
Yes.
Okay. Do you like? I'm curious who gets back onto the roster in Blake Williams' group. Like, give me the changes you would make if it was up to you.
Probably Kyle Hurt over Edgardo Enriquez and Ben Kasparius over Tanner Scott.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And then DS, Kershaw and Glassnow get on. So, like, I'm not leaving them out. It's just how the pitching lines up before the wild card begins.
Do you think there's any world, and I know they got to take the long term, like, they got no relievers they feel good about. Is there any world they find a way to mix in a guy like Tyler Glassnow and they just keep him around in case they get desperate?
I mean, you could.
Because then you could go Kershaw in the DS as like your game one starter, depending on where Sheehan's at, you could go bullpen game with a guy like Robleski. Like, I'm just saying, like, if I've got like a 3-run lead and I need 5 outs in game, 3 of the wild card round, and I look down and it's like Tyler Glassnow or half the guys you just mentioned, give me Glassnow on a weird one and I'll take my chances.
I don't think they'll get to that point. I think they're going to trust like Sheehan in that role, or kind of piecing it together here and there with Bonda and Vesia, and like hope Roki or someone figures it out. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to put Glassnow in the bullpen, especially considering like his health issues he's had in the past and wanting to be a little more cautious with him. Yeah, I just don't really see it.
LLM asking a similar question. I'm chances Scott doesn't make the playoff roster. I'm curious. You've been very low on the possibility of Kershaw in the bullpen. Would you trust Kershaw or Tanner Scott more coming out of the bullpen right now?
Kershaw, but like I said, the only reason I don't have Kershaw on the roster right now is because he's going to be starting Saturday or Sunday in Seattle. So that's 2 days of rest or whatever before the playoffs begin for him, or maybe even just 1 day. So I just don't think they put him on for the wild card.
And that could change. I mean, they haven't officially announced.
It could change
Saturday or Sunday.
It could change, but like we're talking about them fighting for the division right now. I don't think they're going to do that.
That'll be interesting, right? Is if you get to Saturday, Sunday, and they don't have the division wrapped up. And realistically, I care about the division. I'll say that. But from like a postseason perspective, it matters very little whether or not they win the division. They're going to get in either way. They would host in one situation. If they lose the division, they would not be hosting. But it would be very interesting if they have to start making some decisions of, do we set ourselves up for the postseason on Saturday and Sunday, or do we try and win the division? I think they would go and win the division, but I'm just saying I think it would be an interesting series of decisions that you would watch them make.
My problem and pushback of them like trying to win the division and mixing up their pitching in the regular season is, like, we just saw Shohei Ohtani give them 6 scoreless innings today and they still lost.
Yeah.
So I'd probably rather just set things up for the playoffs and hope for the best there than like hope for the best in the regular season. And if things don't go well, then you're kind of at a disadvantage already in the playoffs, even more so. So I don't know. I think they're kind of going to leave it set up with Glassnow Saturday and Kershaw Sunday or something like that.
Yeah. And to be fair, again, the only real decisions you would be making are Glassnow and Kershaw and their availability on a wild card roster, which would be as bullpen arms. So it's not like you're, oh crap, here goes our game 1 starter, we're going to throw him on Saturday. You've got your game 1, 2, and 3 guys in Ohtani, Snell, and Yamamoto lined up. They'll be dialed in and ready to go. It's just a matter of Kershaw and Glassnow, and are you trying to save them for a role, or are you just going to let them throw? Again, we'll see how that plays out. Tim says Mark Pryor needs to go. Terrible coaching resume. Starting pitching's been awesome. Bullpen's been terrible. Like, I don't know. He deserves credit or blame or neither for both of those, I guess, right?
I mean, he's an easy scapegoat for fans, but there's so much more that goes into it than Mark Pryor. They have a whole group of pitching guys. And like I've said a ton on this show, Mark Pryor's more game planning. Connor McGinnis is more like the fixing guys and mechanics side and pitch shapes and all that side of things. So yeah, I don't think firing Mark Pryor is going to be a fix for anything in this bullpen.
Jedi Engineer said, I heard some potential good news from the stream. We will likely get to see Kershaw's final game in person, Jeff. Reporting from T-Mobile, right? Question mark. Your boy is out a little bit of cash because I bought Friday tickets, and then Emmett Sheehan has since been announced as the Friday starter. So that was bad news for me. Sunday is like a 25-75 proposition for me. But as we've just said, there is no real news on what they are going to do with Kershaw. There is, I would say, heavy speculation, informed speculation that Saturday or Sunday Kershaw will pitch, likely Sunday. But we haven't heard those words from Dave Roberts or anybody on the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, informed speculation is a good one for Sunday.
Okay, there you go. There you go. See, informed speculation told me it was going to be Friday last week, Blake. So this is the crappy part about all this.
That informed speculation was not from me. My informed speculation is saying Sunday.
Okay, there you go. So if you buy Blake's informed speculation, you can make your plans for Sunday, which has a lot more information behind it now. Joseph says Dodgers bullpen 26 blown saves this season. Even if you take away 10, they're fighting for the number 1 seed. Worst bullpen I have ever seen. Look, from a Dodgers perspective, it's hard to argue. This is the worst I can remember. And that's in part because they've had like the best bullpens in baseball, it feels like, for the last 6 or 7. And now they have one of the worst.
Was it 2014? They were really bad that year. That was the Pedro Baez was like their only somewhat leverage guy getting to Kenley. I think that was probably the worst one I can recall, but yeah, this one is definitely up there and might be worse. I just have to go back and look at 2014 because that one was real bad.
Okay, let's see up on the fly here. We can get you some 2014 bullpen stats. As far as wins above replacement goes, the Dodgers were 18th. 3.80 ERA was 22nd in Major League Baseball. So there you go. Not bad. How does it 3.80? What do you think their ERA is now? This would have been going into tonight. 4.28. So a half a run worse tonight. Ironically, that is the 20th best mark in Major League Baseball. So they rank higher this year than they did in 2014. ERA up a half a run. And again, that will be increasing after tonight's performance.
I think the comparisons with that bullpen to this one is like this one has so much more talent, and I don't think anyone can deny that. Like Tanner Scott is a talented pitcher. He's not doing anything right now, and he looks terrible, but like he's talented. Same with Kirby Yates and most of the guys in the bullpen. 2014, you had Kenley and Pedro Baez kinda, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, I guess they were a little better. It seemed like that was a worse run scoring environment, but yeah, both of them have been really bad.
Yeah, the problem is, and I know what you're saying, Blake, and I'm just imagining myself in the chat. Nobody wants to hear about how talented this group is.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I think
yeah,
you're right. And it's also like at this point, and I've been the one that's saying it. It's just like, cool, they have talent. They all suck.
At this point, the talent doesn't matter. You have to get the production. Like if it was maybe April, May, June, I'd be saying like, yeah, it's going to turn things around. The talent's really good. But at this point in the season, like if you're not getting the job done, I just don't think you're gonna.
The disrespect, by the way, that you put on 2014 JP Howell's name by not including him in the group. That was a 1.1 wins above replacement season. Brandon League, also a serious contributor on this team. Some other notable names. Jamie Wright, he was bad. Brian Wilson, bad. Paul Mahome, bad. Chris Perez, Roberto Hernandez, Carlos Frias, Kevin Correa. Those are all negative WAR players, by the way, the Dodgers had in their bullpen. Baez was a 0.4 in the positive. Chris Withrow, Paco Rodriguez, Yimi Garcia. I mean, we had some names back in 2014, Blake. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm ready to go to war with this group.
The thing with JP Howell is he was a pure lefty specialist guy, and that was before the 3-batter rule, so he never had to face a righty, and that kind of helped him out a lot statistically, but yeah, that group was very, very bad.
Stephen Fife, Red Patterson, Scott Elbert, Danny Colomb. So there you go.
Danny Colomb, elite reliever for the Twins now. Give him some
half
respect
these
to
guys
him.
are good relievers somewhere else, it feels like. JP Jazzman would love the. Hopefully, this isn't JP Howe, because if it is, he's going to be pissed at you, Blake. Would love the Dodgers to be bold and not have Trinan or Scott on the roster. Thoughts? Look, I'm still irrationally believing Trinan's going to figure it out when he needs it. And you can hate me for that. I get it. I can't get 2024 out of my mind. So at least he's got that in the back pocket. Tanner Scott, I got nothing. Like I can't go back in my brain to the time when Tanner Scott came through for me. So I'm out on Tanner Scott right now.
He came through a lot last year in the playoffs too, but it was just against the Dodgers.
Yeah. Only one of us was rooting for Tanner Scott last year, Blake, and it wasn't me. Okay, my friend, it wasn't me.
I mean, yeah, I don't think they're going to leave either of them off the roster, even though it might be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't get your hopes up. TQT, why isn't Friedman more to blame here? Deadline fail. What do you think? Why isn't Friedman more to blame here?
I mean, I made the case last time it was more on Friedman than Dave or anything that's going on right now, but I also think to give Friedman credit because it's not like this isn't black and white. There's so much context that goes in here. Like Friedman did everything he tried to do to build a good bullpen. He went and signed Tanner Scott, who was everyone considered the top free agent reliever available and maybe one of the best of the last few years. Kirby Yates was coming off an all-star season, and he was one of the best free agent relievers available. They just didn't work out. Sometimes they don't. At the trade deadline, you could argue he could have done more. I would say the prices for closers were way too high, and I still like the Brock Stewart trade if he can come back healthy. I think he's going to be a good piece for this team. You can't really predict injuries. I think that was good value for them that they got there. And you had the expectation of Trinan coming back and figuring things out. I don't think anyone could have predicted Trinan would be this bad. You had the expectation of Kopech coming back. I don't think anyone thought Kopech would be this bad. you had the expectation or the possibility, I should probably say, of Brewstar coming back, and that fell apart. So like you could see how all the pieces could come together and build you a good bullpen. It just hasn't worked out, and that's sometimes the issue with the relievers. They're very volatile, and it happens. But I think overall, Friedman did a decent job trying to put the pen together, and it just hasn't worked out for various reasons.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I have no answers for this group. So there you go. Our guy Matt Moreno, by the way, confirming the informed speculation of Blake Williams. Clayton Kershaw will be starting Sunday. You may have seen him in the bullpen. The broadcast was talking about, the Dodgers have talked about post-game, that he volunteered to be down in the bullpen in his off days, in his side work days, I believe was the language they used. So he was down there available. I was ready, Blake. I was ready for Clayton Kershaw to come in and bail Tanner Scott out of that one. Let's walk the bases loaded, get my guy some soft contact to shortstop, but they stuck with Tanner Scott there. You like that decision? Were you ready for Clayton Kershaw in that spot?
No, but I probably would have taken that over Tanner Scott. So I don't know. But hey, there you go. My informed speculation working out.
There you go. Blake Scott is covered over here. All right. Mookie Betts 50. If they're going to try out Scott and Trinan in playoff leverage, just punch me in the face. I can't take it anymore. Well, we can't help you with that. And I hope you don't find anybody to help you with that. So we'll see. We'll see. Just out of curiosity, Blake, give me like the three guys. He mentions leverage here. Let's get Mookie Betts 50 a little more cheered up if that's possible. Let's say the Dodgers, they throw away name value and they just say, hey, Tanner Scott, we know how much you're getting paid. We know how good you were last year. You suck. Blake Trinan, we know the seven outs you got us last year. We appreciate your service, Captain America. You stink. We're out on you. Who are the three guys that, name value aside, you would go to in leverage? I think I know two of them. I would guess Vesey and Sheehan are on this list.
Yeah, and probably Bonda is my third. He has the strikeout stuff. He's been good for the better part of 3 months now. I think he has the lowest ERA for the team over the last 3 months out of the bullpen. So the only thing with him is he's been walking a lot of guys and he hasn't faced many righties. The righties have been getting him to a bit. So like, there's no one in the bullpen I fully trust in leverage. Like it's probably Sheehan, my number one, but I don't know. Give me Will Klein. That's my guy. Will Klein, going out on a limb for him. He looked great the other night. That's my guy. Okay,
there you go. Dave said post-game, by the way, that the bullpen has to stop pitching scared. Again, you mentioned that's been a common recurring theme. Tanner Scott, again, saying it was his fault, that he needs to get better starting tomorrow. So there we go. Yeah, look, I think Sheehan and Vesia, like I've said, like I feel like I can find a few guys that I don't hate. Vesia is on that group. I think Sheehan's in that group. You know, you could convince me. I'm fine with Bonda. Like I'm fine with Dreyer. I'm fine with Kyle Hurt. I'm fine with Brock Stewart if he comes back. Like, I mean, there's names. We'll see if we gets there. So we'll see. We are going to get to a Roki Sasaki, Brock Stewart, Will Smith injury update here in just a little bit, but we got tons of questions, which is amazing. So we appreciate it. Almost 6,000 people in here live with us on a Tuesday night. Thank you for hopping in. Unfortunately, not a lot of good news on here. Phil says start Kasparius instead of Sheehan. He needs to get ready to pitch 2 out of 3 games in the pen. Say how many starters there are, but ignore the obvious solution. What do you think about getting creative? Something like this. Say, hey, Emmett, forget trying to win the division. We need you to get used to throwing back-to-back days or 2 out of every 3. Let's start now. What would you say to that?
I mean, I don't hate the idea. Probably wouldn't go to Kasparius. He's not stretched out at all, so I don't think it would be him. Like
Robleski maybe or something like
that. The guy they have stretched out is probably Andrew Heaney, and like I don't think they're making a 40-man roster to add him. Yeah, I think they're still just going to stick with Sheehan and give him the starting nod and then go from there. But yeah, they're in a difficult spot. I feel like any of these things should be kind of up in the air or at least open for discussion. I don't think they're going to do any of this stuff, but it is interesting to think about.
Yeah. Niles says, another night of heartbreak here in Sweden. Hate to be out on this team, but a repeat seems like a pipe dream now. Please, guys, give me something to cling my hopes to. Sweden sounds fun. Like, that sounds like a nice place to be. Do you want to take a guess real quick, Blake? 129 SEK. Do you want to guess what that's worth on the conversion tool?
$10, $5, I don't know.
$13.80. So you were close.
Okay,
10 was
okay.
a good one there. Do you have any Mr. Holmgren here? Do you have anything he can cling his hopes to?
Their rotation is really good. And then you find some mix of Sheehan, Vesia, Bonda, maybe Roki, maybe Kyle Hurt, maybe someone else kind of steps up a little bit, and you can kind of start to see how they can piece things together for a few games here and there. They might end up punting a game here or there like they did last year, but the other point I'd put out is every single team in baseball has flaws and reasons why they think they're not going to win the World Series. Like, this isn't just a Dodger thing. Every single team, no matter who you are, has something where they're like, yeah, this is going to cost us. We have no chance of winning. So the Dodgers are still a very talented team overall. The offense has looked pretty good recently. The starting pitching has been phenomenal. So if you can get one or two guys to step up in the bullpen, then the path really becomes clear on how they can end up winning.
Here's a source of potential optimism. What if there were 4 competent relievers not currently on the major league roster that could help this team in the form of Roki Sasaki, Brock Stewart, Ben Kasparias, and Kyle Hurt? I don't think that's crazy to say that there's 4 guys who could be real people helping on a postseason roster, Blake, that just aren't currently on the active roster. Some of whom because they're injured and potentially working their way back. Some of whom just because of a weird roster crunch that honestly goes away once you get to the postseason, because right now you can't DFA, or I mean, you can't option some of these big name guys, say Kirby Yates, for example. But once the postseason starts, you can leave him off and it doesn't matter. And all of a sudden Hurt or Kasparias or somebody could come up and take their spot. So that's one source of optimism for me.
Can I give some more hope on this? Some informed speculation again that Kirby is gone tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
I mean, Roki's coming back. They need to make room.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay. Some informed speculation. I was going to ask you who loses their spot. I have written down guys who could be optioned, and none of them got me super excited because it's like Justin Robleski, Will Klein, those types. But
the other point is
you're
probably going to need someone for Brock Stewart, which might be a 50-50 thing right now. But I mean, I think this team knows they're fighting for a division. Kirby Yates is the worst member of the bullpen right now. So guessing it'll be a bit of a phantom IL, and they'll be like, thank you for your service. Here's your money. You can stick around and try and be with us, but probably not going to pitch again this year.
Enriquez would be another name to watch. Did not look good tonight. So based on availability, do they just send him down and bring him back up in the postseason? We'll see. So
are we even sure he's going to be on the postseason roster, though, at this point?
He'll be in the mix. He'll be in the pool of people eligible. Let's say that. Jay Teaser says, I'm more confident in Kike pitching than Tanner Scott right now. So you've moved Kershaw ahead of Tanner Scott. Is Kike ahead of Tanner Scott?
No, I'm not going to go that far.
That was like a long pause, Blake. That was a seriously long pause.
I mean, given how Tanner Scott is pitching right now, I think it's at least worth a thought about it instead of an immediate no.
Okay. I'm going to leave that one there. Brandon says, can we start the Snell, Yoshi, Tyler, have Show, Kershaw, and G and piggyback and eat the rest of the innings? I'm done with the bullpen. It's trash. Everyone, what do you think? Just find 8 guys that can start and just do 4 piggybacks, one after the other?
Mean, you can punt the 4th game like they did last year, so technically you only need 6 pitchers, and yeah, go for it. They have their 6.
Jonathan says, hearing this 304 pen earned runs is a franchise record. There you go.
Is that really how many they've allowed this year? Like that? Just off the top of my head, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. I mean, let me see. I was going to say, let's see, earned runs. Yeah, it was 299 coming into tonight. So 304 earned runs for the Dodgers bullpen, which, by the way, is only the 7th highest mark. Or I guess going into tonight, they were 7th. So Colorado and the Nationals have allowed 356, in case you were curious. So there you go.
Great company.
Cantankerous says, people who say it's not Dave's fault that players are not performing. As a manager, why do you put in a player who has not performed time after time? Look, I don't think it's Dave's fault. Like, who did you want him to go to? That's my question. Like, I know we don't like Tanner Scott. They had already gone through Dreyer, Enriquez, and Vesia. So yes, like it could have been Bonda, and I trust Bonda more than Tanner Scott, but like the gap between those two is not the Grand Canyon sized of a gap. I wish they would have had somebody warming up behind.
Might be.
Look, there were people, I'm not going to name names. There were people that were optimistic about Tanner Scott the last 4 outings. He had changed up his pitch mix. He had gone spamming sliders, 4 consecutive scoreless innings. So again, I'm not saying that was me, Blake, but there were people smart people I like, who were optimistic about Tanner Scott coming into tonight. Is that fair?
Probably fair, but I haven't seen anything different from him really, like that says, yeah, this is him going to break out type thing. So
yeah, I mean, the pitch mix was completely different, but I was with you. I questioned, okay, cool, you're throwing 80% sliders. Like, I can see why that might work for 3 appearances and not the 5th appearance once guys figure it out. So that was the worry to me.
Yeah, I see people like also wanting Klein. Like, as much as I like Klein, like I'm probably his biggest fan right now. The last time he had a real shot, he was also walking as many people as he was striking out. So he looked great in his 1 appearance, and I hope he can continue that. But walks have been a huge issue for him throughout his entire career, and that's been the thing keeping him back from being a good reliever. So, like, yeah, it's easy to say bring in Klein or bring in Bonda or whoever, but they're also haven't gotten the job done at points this year, and a lot of times, more often than not, just anyone they bring in from the bullpen has not gotten the job done. Yeah. So I just don't really know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, Dreyer's a guy everyone would have trusted, and he was part of the reason they ended up in the position they ended up, because he couldn't get 3 outs in the 7th inning. 300, how pissed will the Dodgers ownership be if they don't host a home game in the playoffs? They'll be fine. They won't be thrilled, but I think they'll be fine financially.
4 million fans this year at home. Like, yeah.
Rod, Blake, you don't have to go back to the 50s to see starters going 9. Kershaw is 29, 25 complete games. Greinke 17. Sutton 178. So there you go.
Sutton was a little before my time, so I still might have to go back in time a bit. But Kershaw, like 25 completed games, like that's what Sandy Koufax did in half a season, essentially, when he was pitching. So, yeah, I mean, the game has changed a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda asks, if they lose the division, would they play at home? I believe the answer to this question is no, because they are currently tied with the Cubs, but assuming they lose the division to the Padres, I would imagine they would end up finishing behind both the Padres and the Cubs, and therefore would not be hosting. I mean, there is a world where they lose the division and beat the Cubs, but that seems unlikely to me.
It depends on their seeding and all that. If they get the 4th seed, they would host. If they get the 5th or 6th seed, they would be on the road.
3 and 4, Dodgers and Cubs are currently tied. Padres are a game and a half back, for context there. Cantankerous, do you realize the bleep storm that will result if we get eliminated in the wild card series? I can't rule that out at this point in time. Look, anything can happen in a 3-game series, and yes, it will not be a fun stretch of time in the Dodgers content world. I can tell you that. 300 says Pryor was the same coach with last year's great pen. It's not him. This is the same thing I say to people with Dave Roberts. It's like they managed bullpen games and won the World Series last year. They've won twice in 5 years. So all these guys have been here the whole time. It's easy to get mad when things go sideways, but you don't have to go that far back to see when things weren't going sideways.
Also, like earlier in the year, everyone was on SVS, their hitting coach, because they wanted him fired when the offense wasn't doing well. And now the offense is doing well and no one's talking about him, and no one's giving him the credit that the offense is doing well again. It's now, oh yeah, the players are performing like they should have, but people who are calling for him to be fired aren't praising him now. And same kind of thing would happen with Pryor. It's just how it goes.
David says Tanner Scott and Blake Treinen have trouble getting guys off. It hasn't been good. Russ says McCann's double in the 7th. Page's misjudged. I think it was catchable. What do you think? That was 420 feet away off the wall. I'm not a Page's defensive defender. That's a weird sentence. He's been better. At no point did I think that ball was going to get caught. And at first I was like, damn, he played that really badly off the wall. The guy was standing on second. So he didn't give up any extra bases. He had no chance of catching it as far as I was concerned, Blake.
Yeah, I don't even think I remember that play. It all kind of blended. I think I was setting up the stream or something at that point. So, yeah.
CP, is tandem starters possible for the Dodgers? We kind of mentioned this. The problem is they want to go to at least a 4, maybe a 5-man rotation in the playoffs in order to get guys the adequate amount of rest. So that would seem to be the biggest thing working against just piggybacking Sheehan and Kershaw and Glassnow over those first 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, you could have like Shohei and Kershaw combined for a game, and then Snell and Sheehan combined for a game, and then hope Yamamoto gives you 6 or 7, and then you can piece things together. And then same with Glassnow. So that's probably how they're going to be looking at it. I don't think it's going to be every single game they're going to be platooning their starters with another starter, partly because they don't have enough starters to do that unless they just completely punt game 4. But I mean, you can see a world where they can win if they do that. Like, you can trust Ohtani and Kershaw in a game. You can trust Snell and Sheehan in a game. You can hope you can find something to get you through the 3rd game after Yamamoto has a hopefully good outing. And same thing with Glassnow in game 4. So, like, there's a path here. Are they going to be able to do it? No one knows. No one has any idea. But what you can kind of see how it's coming together potentially.
Yeah, and of course, you could just say, hey, we're going to try and finish this series quickly so we don't have to throw that 3rd game. Obviously, you can't bank on that, but at this point, you can map out plan A, which is throw 4 starters in games 1 and 2 and hope you don't need a game 3, right? Again, unlikely, but there's a world. Some more context, by the way, on the Tanner Scott quotes. This is from our guy, Matthew Moreno. He says, this was what Scott said. You're not trying to get anyone else on. I was out there grinding. It just didn't go my way. Vesia, the inning before, was huge. And for that to happen sucks. We should have won that game. It's my fault. He was asked, are you a relief pitcher who likes to get another opportunity right away to turn the page? And he said, for sure. For this to happen, it sucks. It has to end tonight. Tomorrow is a new day. So there you go. There you go. Tanner Scott, baby. Aaron says, the bullpen needs to have a come-to-Jesus moment like they did for the bullpen game in the DS. Just something, man. Something has to change. It feels like they just need something. I don't know how an entire bullpen starts to believe that it's just going to come together. Because if they go out and give you like 3 perfect innings tomorrow, those guys aren't going to come back on Friday and be like, holy crap, we are them. Like, we've got this thing dialed. I don't know what the miraculous, like, pinch hit grand slam equivalent is for a bullpen, but they need that just to believe that something good is possible for them.
It was probably Alex Vesia letting the first 2 guys get on and then getting out of the inning, and that still didn't work. So yeah. I don't know did we talk about it earlier, Dave's quote about saying the bullpen is pitching scared right now and they need to stop doing that? Like, yeah, I think that's partly true. Like we were talking about earlier, it's probably a bit mental at this point. I think there's probably a bit more to it than that, but yeah, it's not good. They need something to turn around, and I don't think they have any idea what it is. I don't think it's like a closed door meeting. Well, Dave has said the bullpen guys are having meetings on how they think they can turn things around. And Dave said he wasn't going to like jump into those meetings yet, but if it keeps going poorly, then he'll give some of his thoughts. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't think anyone knows what the answer is. If someone tells you they have the answer, they're probably wrong and just making things up, or else the Dodgers would have done it already and the bullpen would be fine. So it's a disaster right now. That's kind of all there is to it.
Rod says Kershaw has told Roberts he's willing to pitch in relief this week. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Again, I would say, what is the better idea out there? Like who is the better option that currently exists in the bullpen? I'm not saying Kershaw's the guy I love out of the pen. My stance on Kershaw and also his role in the postseason is well established. But at this point, like I trust Kershaw more than Tanner Scott. I trust Kershaw more than Kirby Yates. I don't know how many more names I could go down on this. I might trust him more than Michael Kopech at the moment. Like, there's some dudes I'd like him more than, Blake.
Yes, but also, like, they can bring up Kyle Hurt and give him a chance. Yep. I'd rather see that. They can bring Ben Kasperius back. Yep. I'd rather see that. They can lean on Bonda a little more. I'd like to see that. They can give Will Klein a little bit of extended chance again and see, because I think before he got called up, he wasn't walking as many guys, so just see if there's anything there. Like at this point, just doing the same things over and over again is clearly not working. So just give some other guys a chance. And if that includes Kershaw, so be it. But you got to try mixing something up.
Jedi Engineer, very excited. Kershaw rewarding me for buying tickets in May. Yes, he will get to see Kershaw's last start on Sunday, it sounds like. J-Rod, dear God, we are talking about Roki. Yeah, no thanks. We're going to get to that here in just a second. David says Trinan 5.5, 5.6 ERA, Yates 5.26. Who is worse? The answer is Kirby Yates is worse, as far as I'm concerned. Tim says, I'd feel better about Kersh piggybacking Shohei for 3 or 4 innings than entrusting a bullpen to protect a lead. You agree with that, Blake?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was just talking about. Like, for their plans, you can kind of see how things start to shape up is a plan to win in October. I'm not saying that's going to be what happens and it's going to work out, but I'd rather go down with that plan than whatever else they're going to try.
Yeah. The runner on second, curious how many teams have walked us off this year. Too many is the answer. I don't know how many it is, but it feels like all of them. 300. They need to win the division and reset everything. Look, I desperately want them to win the division just so that the Padres don't get to put up a bigger plaque next to their wild card winner plaque about winning the division. Okay, that should be priority number one as far as I'm concerned. Let's get to some of the injury updates. We've kind of referenced these real quick, Blake, some news and notes that came out of the Dodgers today. And then I do want to talk about Ohtani pitching because we haven't talked about that, and he's been amazing. But Will Smith has a hairline fracture at the base of the third metatarsal, for anybody that was curious on that one. He said the timeline for returning is purely pain tolerance. It's not going to be worse. It's just what he can handle. My favorite part of the interaction pregame today was him basically saying he was convinced it was more than a bone bruise. The Dodgers kept telling him, no, just a bone bruise. Then he got more scans, hairline fracture. So he said, at least I know I can trust myself when I think that it feels like it's more than what they're telling me. He is, quote, hoping he can be ready for the wild card series, Blake.
Yeah, I'm not confident in that. I mean, it's already been, what was it, September 3rd or something around there? I think he heard it. So we're approaching like 3 weeks. I'm not confident in that happening.
You think he'll be on the roster, though? They'll just carry 3 catchers? That's what it sounded like your prediction was?
No, I changed that with the recent Will Smith. I thought before they would do that, but now I'm thinking they just carry the extra pitcher, especially with how much of a mess the bullpen is. I think all the help you can get would be better there, and maybe he gets added on for the DS, but I'm still kind of 50-50 on that.
Okay, because you're saying 14 pitchers with the Ohtani rule. It's the 13 plus Ohtani is what you're predicting.
Let me see.
Because obviously for those,
I'm doing 13.
Ohtani does not count as a pitcher, even though he'd be starting.
I'm doing 12 and 14. 14 hitters, 12 pitchers.
Got it. Okay, so you're still one short of the maximum number of pitchers that the Dodgers could carry because Ohtani doesn't count as a pitcher to the roster rules.
Yes, I believe so. That sounds right. Yeah.
Rock Stewart listed as day-to-day. They were asked, is he day-to-day because of workload or right shoulder injury? This is what Dave said, quote, just kind of workload, kind of making sure he feels good. Just some conversations with Brock, making sure he's put in a position to feel good if he's activated. That's no guarantee. So we feel just giving an extra day, we'll have a little more information. He's going to be out there playing catch today. We'll know more tomorrow. That's not the positive update I was hoping to hear with 5 games left in the season, Blake.
Yes, but from more of my informed speculation, I don't think it's a huge deal at this point. He's still expected to be active, but it's not ideal what you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. The last bit of news is Roki Sasaki, officially expected to be activated tomorrow. There is an open spot on the 40-man roster. They do need a 26-man roster spot. You're hearing Kirby Yates, thanks for being here tomorrow.
That's definitely what I'm expecting.
Okay. The other guys would be guys that have options remaining if they didn't want to DFA somebody. And unfortunately, all the guys with options remaining are guys that you probably like a lot more than the guys who don't have options remaining at the moment.
That's part of the thing. I could see Robleski going down maybe to give him a little bit of a reset and then call him back up kind of thing. But Kirby Yates is not worth having on this roster right now. I think they know that. So I think it's kind of an easy choice here.
Yeah. Again, easy choice for sure, but they haven't been making the easy choices when it comes to purely performance-based decisions is what makes it interesting. Where are you at on Roki Sasaki and what you reasonably expect? Like, you did not have him on your postseason roster, is that right?
I do now.
Okay.
But as of 3 days ago or whatever it was, I didn't have him on. We just didn't see anything that was going to show that he'd be effective before he got hurt. And I don't have much faith in him coming back and suddenly being effective. If he does it, absolutely great. It's worth taking a look at this point just because we just spent an hour talking about how bad the bullpen is and how anything's worth a look right now. But we'll see. I'm not totally optimistic, but at this point, why not?
Yeah, I see somebody in the chat asking about Gradwell. He has officially been ruled out for the season. So there have been some setbacks, I believe was the language.
Not fully officially ruled out, but Andrew Friedman said, I'm not expecting it or not likely or something along those lines. So Yeah, probably not
I
happening.
haven't seen him pitch with 5
Yeah.
days left. So we've got that going. Okay, real quick, I want to talk Shohei Ohtani because it feels criminal that we have not talked about Shohei Ohtani. He goes 6 innings, which is a big deal. It's the first time all season he went 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts for Shohei Ohtani. In his last 3 starts, Blake, including tonight, 14 2/3, 8 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 18 strikeouts. You could go back one additional start. That's 19 2/3, 1 earned run, and 27 strikeouts for Ohtani. It makes the conversation that existed in some circles, not this one, but in elsewhere, about whether or not Ohtani was actually good enough to be starting in the postseason and whether they should sit him down. He has quickly reminded people over the last few weeks, Blake, that he might be the best pitcher they have because he has been absolutely insanely dominant.
Yeah, he is clearly the best player in baseball, maybe the best player in baseball history. It doesn't shock me anymore. Like, Ohtani is Ohtani, and everything he does is amazing. And he had that little stretch there earlier in the season while he was rehabbing where it was bad and everyone tried to dunk on him, especially all the Padre fans I see in the chat right now. Ohtani's really good. He's the MVP, clearly. He's probably going to win the MVP again next year, and that's just who he is.
Yeah. He was asked after if he felt pressure to go deeper into games, and this was the quote. The end of the rehab progression at the beginning of the year was more about getting to the 5-inning mark. As the season went on and having a conversation with Dave Roberts last night, I stated the desire of wanting to pitch a little longer to help the team in any way, shape, or form. He did that tonight. I pointed out, by the way, on social media, in that 6th inning, he threw 5 pitches over 99 miles an hour, and there were 2 more that you could have rounded up to 99. So he was not losing steam, safe to say, Blake, at the end of this one. So the good news for the Dodgers, I shouldn't say, it's not good news, it's his last regular season start. The good news is his next start will be in the wild card round, likely game 1. And you can expect 6 innings potentially. Like, if he's pitching well, he can get you 6. He's proven that tonight.
Yeah, based on tonight, if it was the playoffs, Dave might have pushed him 7 or tried to have that conversation with him. So, yeah, I think Ohtani's going to be out there for one of the games in the wild card. I think that's kind of a given at this point. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason you can still be somewhat optimistic about the playoffs.
Yeah, he was asked post-game about if he had a preference on which game in the wild card he started. He said, I don't think it makes sense for me to state my preference. I'm sure there's a strategic thought behind which game I'm going to start, so I don't really want to talk about that. I'm always happy to start in any game the team wishes for me to pitch in. Well, good news, Shohei. You're going to be pitching every 3 days now for the next month. So we appreciate the willingness to pitch whenever we ask you to, and we're going to take you up on that, sir. So thank you. Also, maybe in relief on off days if you couldn't, if you didn't mind there as well. Yeah, insane stuff from Ohtani. Real quick, Blake, the other news in Major League Baseball today, and then we'll get to some more questions. Automated balls and strikes is officially coming in 2026 to Major League Baseball. The rules, as they are stated, each team will get 2 challenges and can keep them if they are successful. Challenges can only be initiated by a pitcher, catcher, or batter, and it must come right after the pitch. To signal a challenge, the pitcher, catcher, or batter will tap the hat or helmet to let the umpire know. There is no help allowed from the dugout or other players in the field. In extra innings, teams get awarded 1 additional challenge if they have none remaining for each additional inning. This is awesome. ABS is amazing. I'm all for it. It's a little different. There's only 2 challenges, which is less, I believe, than they had in AAA. But I am just glad that this will hopefully improve big moments not getting ruined by bad calls.
Yeah, I feel like 2 is too little. I think
should.
I think each batter should have 2 in a game and go from there. But a start to start, I don't think umpires would agree to anything more yet. I mean, it'll be fun to see. It'll be helpful, but it's going to be difficult because if players want to use it early in the game, teams might have strategies to say, like, save it for later in the game, or if there's runners in scoring position type stuff. Like, there's going to be a lot that goes into it, and I think some players are going to be hesitant to use it, and some might be overly aggressive. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I definitely think it's a good starting point, and they should probably keep expanding it as time goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it will not make things take longer. If you haven't seen this, it's instantaneous. So there you go. I think it's going to be awesome. I remember them joking in spring training about how it was basically, they told certain guys, like, you're not allowed to challenge anything. Like, Max Muncy gets to challenge some calls at home plate, maybe the catcher, but other than that, we're going to leave these for our pitchers. So remains to be seen. But again, good news as far as I'm concerned there. Let's get to some questions, all caps questions. Throw those in the chat. We'll take about 10 more minutes and answer some of those. Again, an unfortunate night for the Dodgers. They fall 5-4, excuse me. They blow a 4-0 lead. In the 7th inning, they give up 3 runs. In the 9th inning, they give up 2 more. Tanner Scott credited with the blown save, his 10th of the season. That is major league leading. And ultimately, the Dodgers lose this one 5-4. On with the question, make it make sense. Last year, Evan Phillips was directly ousted by Dave Roberts and front office as a closer. Why didn't Tanner Scott lose the job earlier this season? What do you think, Blake?
I think last year it was a lot about like wanting to use Phillips in the high leverage fireman type role. And to be honest, like contracts do matter. They had high expectations for Tanner Scott. They paid him a lot of money to be the closer, and they wanted to try and get their money's worth. Obviously hasn't worked out, but yeah, I mean, front office decisions, manager decisions are always sometimes influenced by money, unfortunately, and that's what we're dealing with.
I would add, and I have not defended how bad Tanner Scott has been, but I think the Dodgers, and I would say this is a good thing. Not everybody would agree with that, but I think the Dodgers have consistently managed with the idea of how do we get the best possible roster come postseason time. And if there was any world where they could get Tanner Scott right at some point this regular season prior to October, then that was going to dramatically improve their ability to close out games in October. Now, it hasn't happened. And so I think the natural question that some people are asking is this. GI says, it seems pretty clear the team needs to give other guys a chance in high leverage. How long do you wait until you break the glass with guys not on the active roster? So on one hand, it's Blake, I get, even if somebody says, I get wanting to believe until the last possible minute that maybe you can get Tanner Scott right. And maybe they believed they sort of had because he had 4 decent outings prior to this one. But I think at the very least tonight has, I hope, put a period at the end of that sentence and said, you need to move on to plan C, D, and E because Tanner Scott is just not going to be that guy in 2025.
Yeah, so to start with the first thing, I agree with their idea of trying to get players ready for the postseason and that be the biggest focus. I think that's the right thing to do, and that's what they've shown they're willing to do. If they weren't doing that, like they wouldn't have Max Muncy right now, they wouldn't have Andy Pajas right now, and there's been some other guys in the past you can name who same kind of things. But right now, at this point in the season, it's clearly past time of trying to get Tanner Scott ready for the postseason. Like, he is what he is, and you have to move on. I don't know when they're going to do that. I would hope it's tonight. I would have hoped it was the last time it happened, and I would have hoped it was the last time it happened. So I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I think they're probably going to go back to him if there's another high leverage spot. That's how Dave Roberts is. If it's the right thing to do, probably not. But I think that's what he's going to do until he does something that shows me that he'll do otherwise.
Yeah. And to answer the second part, why not go get the guys not on the 40-man roster? Or excuse me, not on the active roster, guys who are on the 40-man roster. And the answer is just because with some of these players, Kirby Yates, for example, they would have to cut them. And why they have shown an unwillingness to do that, I think, is a mystery. Obviously, Tanner Scott is under contract for multiple years, so he's not going anywhere, as much as people aren't going to like to hear that. He'll be back on the Dodgers next season. And so you can't just remove these guys from the 26-man roster because you don't have the option. The only guys you can option and send down to go bring up Kasparius or Hurt or whoever are guys that you probably like. It's Bonda. It's not Bonda. It's Robleski. It's Enriquez. It's Klein. It's Alex Vesia. Those are the guys that could be optioned. And so it's a tough spot roster-wise for the Dodgers there. Noisy Ninja, did the pitching coaches mess up Tanner by having him pitch in the zone more? This was a big topic of conversation, Blake. Where do you stand?
I think there's probably some truth to it, but on the flip side of things, he's not getting as much chase as he was last year. So it's hard to say, like, pitch out of the zone more, and then you're just walking everyone because no one's chasing. So I don't know. Every single Tanner Scott question about what's wrong or what did they do or how can they fix them, I have no clue. And from everything I've understand about talking to people in the organization, like, they don't have an idea. Everyone is befuddled. And yeah, I really don't know. It's very, very strange because nothing really stands out from last year as being completely different for him. Like, you can point to one little thing here or there, but that's not something that would contribute to just how bad he's been. So it's a very confusing situation all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas asks, any chance Edmund plays center field? They move Pages to the corner outfield to get Conforto's bat out of the lineup and then play Kim or Kike at second base.
I mean, Conforto has been good for the last like month and a half, 2 months type at this point. He's definitely better than Hyesung Kim in the lineup. Kike is only a platoon player, and they're only platooning Conforto anyways. So, yeah, I don't see it. Dave Roberts has already said Conforto is going to be in there against righties, and Edmund's going to be in there against lefties in center field. So, yeah.
He's hitting, I think they said on the broadcast, Conforto's hitting like 320 over the last month of the season. So,
and since like August 15th, he's hitting like 270 with a 750 OPS. Like, it's fine. He's doing his job enough for a 6th or 7th hitter in the lineup.
Yeah. Jason wants to know, would you advise the break glass occasion of Ohtani out of the pen? When would you advise? Sorry. Is there a scenario where Ohtani coming out of the bullpen would be an option?
To close out the World Series or maybe the NLCS, and that's about it. I'm not using him in any other situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. You would be losing one of the best starting pitchers in the sport. So unless it's a Walker Buehler situation last year, no thanks for me. Let's see. I like this from Roger. He says, what if the bullpen opens games and starters close games, Blake? And you just say, hey, bullpen, go get us the first and second, and then Glassnow's going to throw the last 7.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of tried that with Bonda opening, and he gave up the homer, and then Sheehan came in and pitched really well, and then I think the bullpen blew it again that game or something. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, but it's a fun thought.
Eden said, can someone clarify Kershaw's status, bullpen or not? Go ahead.
He's technically in the bullpen for now, instead of doing like his throwing days, his bullpens before the game starting. He's still going to start on Sunday.
And you're saying, and you think in the postseason his role will be a starter?
I think he'll be in the bullpen in the postseason.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying they were saving him to start in the NLDS.
Possibly, depending on how things go in the wild card. I think a lot of options are up in the air. It depends on how things play out. But after game 1, you have an off day, and after game 2, you have an off day, so you can kind of reset the pitching a little and get those extra days of rest for guys. But yeah, I think Kershaw's role is kind of up in the air, but I don't think he's going to be on the wild card roster to start.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the bullpen. I'm still predicting him to be on all of the rosters, would be my guess. Yeah, player wants to know your opinion. Do the Dodgers win the division?
Yeah, I think I said 67% earlier in the day. So it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, 8% less than confidence you had in the bullpen in the 7th inning of today's game. So take that for what it's worth. Which, for the record, I was with you. I was like, come on, Dreyer, Enriquez, Vesia, we could get 9 outs. I was wrong. Yeah, I still think they do. I know tonight sucked, but they've played well of late. Jay Teaser, is it possible the league wasn't really game planning for Scott previously, and partially that they just have him figured out? Look, I know there's a center focus on the Dodgers. People were game planning for Tanner Scott. The Dodgers were game planning for Tanner Scott, and we're not able to hit him. It's clear he's just a very different pitcher. If that's his fault, if it's the Dodgers' fault, if it's both of their fault, I don't know the answer to that question, but he is noticeably a different pitcher this year than he was last year.
Yeah, every team is game planning for every pitcher. Teams are game planning for guys in AAA. So as soon as they're called up, they have an idea of what they're going to be looking for. If it happens right before the game, like no one is being caught off guard by pitchers anymore. Every team has tons and tons of data on these guys.
Ivan wants to know, for a team that is so analytics based, why do we still have a closer? Has anyone asked Dave Roberts why Tanner Scott doesn't pitch in earlier spots? Maybe earlier innings can increase his confidence.
So for the Dodgers being a very analytics-based organization, Dave Roberts is less so than the front office, and I know a lot of people are going to push back on that and hate it, but Dave Roberts is a guy who manages with his gut a lot often, and he's going to stick with his guys, even if the data says not to. Like, we're seeing that. He's proving it right now. There's no data that says to keep going to Tanner Scott. And the front office isn't like telling Dave what to do, how to manage in these games, as much as like that puppet narrative has gone around. Like, this is Dave Roberts managing, and he keeps going back to them. So I don't know why he keeps going back to him. I don't think pitching in like the 6th is going to change anything for Tanner Scott. He's just getting hit around a lot. I don't think the inning on the scoreboard matters in that regard. So I don't know. Dave just has to kind of stop going to him right now.
Yeah. Aaron says, would you be surprised if the pen at least gets to okay? I feel like if we had more time, they would. But the problem is we are out of time. We go through bad stretches like this every year. Do you have any confidence that postseason is going to roll around? They're going to shuffle up some roles. Old guys are going to figure out how to pitch again, and the bullpen's going to be okay. Not great, but okay.
I think they can get to okay, but that's probably like the best I'll give them. I think they can get to okay enough to win with the starting pitching and the offense they have, but it's also going to rely on them actually going away from the guys who have failed them.
Yeah.
And to Dave's credit, he has done that a lot in the past once the playoffs roll around, and he has been willing to be more flexible with how he's using pitchers, but we'll see. I mean, like I said earlier, if we have Emmett Sheehan, Bonda, Vesia, Dreyer, and one of Brock Stewart or Will Klein or Roki or someone works out, then you have like 4 or 5 relievers you can somewhat trust, and that might just be enough. But who knows?
I'm with you, by the way. TN, is Ohtani starting game 1?
I think yes. He's lined. So 1 week from today is game 1, and that's Ohtani lined up for that. So I think so.
Yeah. Would you, if you needed one Dodgers pitcher, everyone is fully rested, and your life depended on them winning, which Dodgers starter would you go with right now? Ohtani, Yamamoto, or Snell?
I'd probably go with Yamamoto, which is partly why I could see them saving him for game 3. Because if you need him, like if everything's on the line, you go to Yamamoto in game 3 and you have a lot of confidence there. Or if you somehow sweeping in 2, then you have Yamamoto for game 1 of the NLDS.
And I would add, as much as it sounds crazy to think you could theoretically then lose in the postseason and Yamamoto never pitches, I will not be here for complaining that they went with Ohtani and Snell. Like, you could pick any 2 of those 3, and you don't get to complain about the third guy because all 3 of them are awesome. So, one more thing here, and then we'll get out of here. History, man. This is a Blake question. Hopefully the Kings win the Stanley Cup in 2026. Anze Kopitar can ride off into the sunset on top. Can I say something, Blake, that's going to be offensive to you? I need Kopitar, all due respect. The man does not belong on a poster with Kobe Bryant and Clayton Kershaw. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand these guys have been in LA for a while. He's not Kobe and he's not Kershaw, with all due respect.
That's fine. What I was going to say to this is the Kings have already been eliminated by the Oilers in the first round. I'm sorry to inform you all, 5 straight years now. The Kings are exactly like what the Dodgers are doing right now. The Kings, every single year, they sign the same types of old washed players, veteran, gritty, hard-nosed hockey players, and then they lose to the team that has speed and skill, and you wonder why. And then they do the same thing again next year. It's like exactly same thing as going to Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates and Blake Treinen in high leverage. It fails you, and then you go back to it. So, yeah, Kings and Dodgers, very similar right now. But, yeah, Kings have been eliminated already.
Was what I said offensive at all? I just saw the thing, and I admit I'm not a hockey fan, but I'm like, Kobe and Kershaw are like goats.
Yeah.
Kopitar's like a really good player.
He's probably the best player in Kings history, but like, I mean, unless you want to
include like a Freddie Freeman level player?
You would include Gretzky on that, but Gretzky like didn't win a ring with the Kings, and everyone thinks of him as an Oiler, so I don't know. I think Kopitar's like the Kings franchise legend, but he's not in that same tier as Kershaw and like the all-time list kind of thing.
Who is he, like a Freddie Freeman level player?
That seems fair, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Matt Stafford level player, maybe? Just kidding. He's
Sure.
only been in LA for a couple years. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. As always, we appreciate you hopping in here on Dodger Heads presented by DodgerBlue.com. Stay tuned. A fun interview tomorrow. I always hate to tease the specific names because sometimes these things fall through at the last minute. But I'm hoping that if this goes through, we're going to get some great Clayton Kershaw stories. Not from Clayton Kershaw. I'll ruin that surprise. But from somebody who knows him and was around him for a long time. So stay tuned for that right here on the Dodger Blue 1958 channel. Of course, Dodger Heads Unplugged at 10 a.m. every weekday with Scott Gierman. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure he will have some thoughts on this, and I'm excited to hear his thoughts on the Dodgers bullpen and how maybe they can move some things around. We've got an interview with Lance Brozdowski coming later this week with a Roki Sasaki breakdown, a pitch change he made, and why that might be the key to him being a bullpen guy. So stay tuned for that as well. Matt Moreno covering all these games from Arizona. So we'll have all the post-game stuff up on our YouTube page as soon as this show is finished. That is Blake Williams. I am Jeff Spiegel, folks. As always, DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 on social media. Enjoy the rest of your night. The Dodgers suck tonight. The bullpen stunk, but guess what? Go Dodgers, and yes, still champs.